Allison, make a choice, the man said, smirking with maddening confidence. Either I take my son home with me right now, or I move in with you so I can be with him every day. His name was Harry, and he wasn't just any man. He was a military captain, the same man Allison had unexpectedly dragged into a lie she now regretted deeply. Allison's blood boiled at the smirk on his face. I'm not choosing either, she snapped. Come on, Harry teased, his grin widening. Would it be so bad having someone like me around? A charming, ridiculously handsome guy sharing your roof? Imagine waking up to this body every morning. He flexed slightly and laughed. You're disgusting, she muttered. We don't even know each other. That was true. In fact, not long ago, they had been complete strangers. The only reason they were speaking now was because Allison, out of desperation, had pulled him, literally, into an outrageous situation. It had started at the mall, of all places. Allison was heavily pregnant and walking through a busy shopping center when she saw someone she hadn't seen in years, Kendrick, her ex, the father of the baby. He was long gone, emotionally and physically, but he was the kind of man who could make her world implode with just a few smug words. She panicked, and then she saw Harry, dressed in a military uniform, standing tall and proud, browsing in a nearby store. He looked respectable, trustworthy. Without a second thought, Allison walked straight up to him, grabbed his arm and said, Please, I need your help. I'll explain later. Just pretend to be my husband, for like 5 minutes. It's urgent. What the hell? Harry barely had time to react before she pulled him into the crowd. Excuse me, what do you think you're doing? He snapped once they were outside the store, trying to wrench free. Just go with it, she hissed. Please, he's my ex, and I'm pregnant, and he's about to come over here and ruin my life again. Harry hesitated. People were already staring. Her belly was unmistakably large, 8 months at least, and the way she clung to his arm made it look real. A couple, expecting, in love. He sighed, exasperated. This is insane. Thank you, Allison muttered, not loosening her grip. Then Kendrick approached. He looked smug, like always. Took you long enough, Kendrick said to Allison. This your new man? Fancy. Harry straightened his posture. Nice to meet you. I'm Harry. He extended his hand. Kendrick glanced at it, then ignored it entirely. So, this is the fiancé you kept talking about? He sneered. I figured you just got yourself knocked up and made the rest up for attention. Actually, Harry replied smoothly, we were shopping for baby clothes. We're naming her Sophia. Allison turned slightly pink. She hadn't even picked a name yet. Harry, noticing her panic, gave her a reassuring smile and continued the charade effortlessly. Sophia's kicking a lot now, right, babe? Yeah. Allison nodded quickly, trying not to break character. Kendrick scoffed. Well, at least the kid's got a dad. I didn't think you'd manage to find one. He turned to Harry with a mocking grin. You're lucky. She's got a knack for scams. Be careful, soldier. That belly might be as fake as the story. Harry's jaw tightened. Allison's hands clenched into fists. I don't need to prove anything to you, she snapped. Then kiss him, Kendrick said coldly. If he's really the father, kiss him, right here, in front of me. Allison's world froze. Harry blinked. Excuse me? On the lips, a real kiss, and look him in the eyes and say you love him. Allison's stomach twisted. People had started watching. She could feel her heart pounding in her ears. Harry was rigid beside her. This had gone way too far. Kendrick crossed his arms. Thought so. You can't. Allison took a step forward. Her pride was cracking. This was humiliating. But Kendrick didn't get to win. Not again. She turned to Harry, who looked just as stunned. Harry, she whispered, voice trembling. Just follow my lead. He nodded, and then, Without any more hesitation, Allison said it. "I love you." The words came out shakier than she expected. Harry's eyes widened, but he said nothing, and then she leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't long, but it was enough. Enough to shut Kendrick up. Enough to set Allison's heart on fire with embarrassment. Harry's eyes were still wide as she pulled away. Kendrick stood frozen. His mouth twitched with insult, and without a word, he turned and walked off. Allison and Harry stood in stunned silence. After a long beat, Harry turned sharply. "I need to go." He walked off without another word. Allison stood there, hand on her lips, feeling the heat of her own actions burning through her entire body. What had she done? Allison rushed out of the mall, her cheeks burning and her hands still brushing against her lips. She couldn't believe what she had just done. She was sure half the mall had seen the kiss. What was she even thinking? She hurried her steps, trying to disappear from the moment. "I just want to go home, crawl under the covers, and pretend today never happened," she muttered to herself. As she stepped outside, a sharp pain struck her lower belly. She froze in place. "Oh no, not now. Please not now," she whispered, clutching her stomach. "Not here. Not in public." She spotted a taxi pulling up and waved frantically, but it was already occupied and drove past her. "Ugh, you've got to be kidding me," she groaned, breathing heavily as the pain grew worse. "Not now, baby. Please stay in there a little longer. Mommy isn't home yet. Don't do this here." The pain intensified and panic began to rise. "Help! I think I'm going into labor," she shouted, doubling over in pain. People started to look, but nobody came closer. She was about to cry when a familiar voice cut through the noise. "You again? What kind of drama are you pulling now?" Allison slowly turned around, eyes wide with disbelief. Harry was standing behind her, watching her with a skeptical expression. For a moment, embarrassment overwhelmed her. But then another contraction hit, and she winced. "Sir, please, I need you to take me to the hospital. I think I'm in labor." Harry blinked. "Me? No way! I'm not getting involved in this. People are already looking at us. I'm not your husband, remember?" "You're a soldier, right? Have a little compassion," Allison snapped, eyes flashing with desperation. "Are you really going to let me give birth here in front of the mall?" "Of course I see people looking," Harry said, frustrated. "I'm not blind." "Then what's your problem?" she shot back. Harry rubbed his forehead. "What do you want me to do? Fly you to the hospital?" "Get a car! Carry me! Do something!" she shouted. "I don't even have a car with me," he grumbled. "Then find a way. You're the man here." "Where's your husband? Why isn't he helping you?" he asked, trying to stay detached. "He's in heaven," she said, her voice flat. Harry froze. The wind knocked from his chest. He didn't reply. "Stop standing there and carry me," she said, voice cracking. "Please, I don't want to have this baby on the sidewalk." Without another word, Harry stepped forward and lifted her bridal style. She wasn't light, not just her, but the child too. But he ran. "God, you're heavy," he muttered, panting as sweat broke across his forehead. "I'm pregnant, genius," she snapped. "And you're carrying 2 people, not 1. Yeah, I'm hurrying." Mid-run, Harry tripped, and Allison nearly tumbled to the ground. "Ow! You dropped me, you jerk!" she screamed. "I didn't mean to. You're too heavy. Sorry." "Are you trying to kill me and my baby?" "I said I was sorry. Just get back up. We're almost there." He lifted her again and pushed through the crowd. "Move! Pregnant woman coming through!" Allison barked at the bystanders. Moments later, they burst through the doors of the hospital. Medical staff swarmed them immediately, rushing Allison away on a stretcher. Harry bent over, gasping. What the hell was today? He muttered. He looked around and realized how bad this looked. Him in uniform, covered in sweat, in the maternity wing of a hospital. He pulled out his phone and messaged his unit, explaining he'd be late returning to base due to unforeseen circumstances. He slumped into a chair in the hallway. "How long does it take to deliver a baby anyway?" he muttered, checking his watch. It had been 30 minutes. Just then, a doctor appeared. "Are you the husband?" the doctor asked. Harry hesitated. He wasn't, but before he could correct the man, the doctor smiled and said, "Congratulations, sir. You have a healthy baby girl. You can come see them now." Harry blinked, stunned. "Wait. What?" But the doctor was already walking away. Harry stood there for a moment, unsure what to feel. Curiosity won out. "Maybe I'll just take a quick look at the baby I saved." He followed the doctor inside. Harry stepped inside the hospital room and was instantly met by a sharp glare from Allison, who was cradling her newborn in her arms. "What are you still doing here?" she snapped. He raised his hands in mock offense. "Wow, you're welcome, by the way." "Welcome? For what?" she said bitterly. "Dropping me on the sidewalk, almost breaking my back?" Harry rolled his eyes. "I carried you to the hospital, didn't I?" "Right before you almost dropped me in front of the ER," she shot back. "And besides, I didn't even ask for your help." "You literally screamed for me to help you," he said, exasperated. Allison rolled her eyes and turned her head away. "Whatever." Harry looked around the room, unsure what to do. "Look, I just wanted to see the baby I helped deliver." He took a step forward, and Allison tensed. "I'm not going to bite, okay?" he said. He moved closer and glanced at the baby girl, wrapped in a soft pink blanket. She was sleeping peacefully. "She's cute," he murmured. "Yeah," Allison said quietly. "She is. Hey, what's her name?" "Sophia." He smiled faintly. "Sophia, I like that." There was a pause, then Harry asked, "You sure you're okay?" "Peachy," she said, avoiding his gaze. "Right, I'll get out of your way then," Harry said, turning to leave. "Wait," she said suddenly. "Thanks, I guess I do owe you that." He looked back at her. "You're welcome." He stepped out of the room. Allison sighed, looking down at Sophia. "Hello, baby girl. It's just you and me now." Her voice softened as she rocked the baby in her arms. "I'm glad you're safe. I'm so glad you're okay. I love you." She kissed the baby's forehead. "I'm sorry your name is Sophia," she whispered, with a little laugh. "It just kind of happened." Not long after, the door creaked open again. This time it was Amy, Allison's younger sister, rushing in with a little boy behind her, Louis, Allison's adopted son. "You didn't call me. You were about to give birth and didn't tell me. I was worried sick." Amy burst out as she hurried to her sister's side. "I'm fine," Allison assured her. "Everything's okay now." Amy's eyes scanned the room. "Do you want anything? Food? Water? I brought Louis with me. He was so worried too." Louis walked up to the bed. "Hi, Mama," he said sweetly, hugging Allison tightly before glancing at the baby in her arms. Amy and Allison exchanged smiles at the scene. "You didn't call me because of university schedule, right?" Amy said gently. "You didn't want to bother me." "I knew you were busy," Allison replied softly. "You know I would have dropped everything to be here. It's our family. You and the baby are more important." Louis looked up. "Mama, I thought you were going to name the baby Kelly." "I changed my mind," Allison replied. "Sophia just fits her better." Amy moved closer to look at the newborn. "She's so cute," she whispered. Louis grinned. "She's so cute, Mama." "Of course she is. She's your baby sister," Allison said, brushing his hair affectionately. Amy and Allison locked eyes again. Amy's expression turned serious for a moment. She wanted to say something but held back. She had always thought Louis had a right to know the truth, but she also knew her sister wasn't ready. The truth was, Louis had never known he was adopted. Allison had found him at a public park when he was just a baby, abandoned, wrapped in a blanket, with only a necklace and a photograph beside him. Suddenly, Louis tugged at Allison's sleeve. "Mama, I need to tell you something," he said, his tone serious. "What is it, sweetheart?" she asked. Amy was still distracted, watching the baby. "I saw a man earlier," Louis said. "He dropped a photo from his wallet." "What photo?" Allison asked, her brow furrowing. "I picked it up to give it back, but when I looked at it, I stared for a while, and then I didn't notice he walked away," Louis explained. "What did you see in the picture?" Allison asked, sitting up straighter. "I saw me," Louis said, quietly. Amy turned her head sharply. Allison went stiff. "What do you mean, you?" Allison asked. Louis climbed onto the bed and held out the picture. "It was me when I was a baby, same face, same necklace, like the one I have on now." He showed the necklace around his neck. Allison and Amy stared at each other. Allison was speechless. "That's not you, sweetie," Allison said after a beat, forcing a smile. "You probably just look like the baby in the photo. Babies look alike sometimes." Louis didn't look convinced. "But Mama, it really looks like me." "It's not," she said, reaching for the photo. "Give it to me. I'll return it to the man." "But how?" Louis asked. "You don't even know where he went." "I'll find a way," Allison insisted. Louis didn't argue further. He was getting sleepy and soon nodded off in the hospital bed, curled up beside his mom. Allison watched him, her heart racing. She knew the baby in that photo was Louis, and that man, whoever he was, wasn't a stranger. After they were discharged from the hospital, Allison stayed home to recover with her newborn and her 2 kids. She usually worked at a diner, but with the new baby, she was on break. Her adopted son, Louis, although still in elementary school, helped out when he could, especially with washing dishes and cleaning up after school. One afternoon, while Louis was seated inside the diner, he spotted a familiar man walk in and sit at a table. "That's him. That's the man who dropped the photo," Louis thought. He quickly walked over. "Excuse me, sir. Is this yours?" Louis asked politely, holding up the photo. The man looked startled. "Wait, yeah. Where did you get that?" "You dropped it when you pulled out your wallet at the hospital. I picked it up." The man blinked, then smiled. "Wow, thank you, kid. I didn't even notice I lost it. Good eye." He reached out to take the photo, but Louis pulled it back, just a little. "Before I give it back, can you tell me who's in the picture?" Louis asked, eyes narrowed in curiosity. The man looked puzzled. "Why?" "I just want to know." The man hesitated, then said with a small laugh, "It's my kid." "My son." Louis's eyes widened, a chill running down his spine. "That's your son?" he asked. "Yeah." Louis was sure of it now. "But that's me," he said, looking at the man. "That's my baby picture." The man looked stunned, but quickly chuckled, brushing it off. "I don't think so, buddy. Doesn't really look like you." Louis insisted, "It is me. I looked just like that. We even have an album at home. My mom always shows it to me." "Well, your eyes are kind of similar," the man admitted, still skeptical. "But come on, lots of babies look alike." "I know it's me," Louis said, "because I'm way better looking now." He flashed a grin, clearly proud, which made the man laugh. Okay, you're confident, but I still don't think that's you," the man said. "Anyway, I need that picture back." "Why don't you believe me?" Louis asked. "I know it's me." "Because it just doesn't make sense," the man replied. "Let's stop with the jokes, okay? Give me the photo and get back to whatever chores they've got you doing." Louis clutched the picture but didn't hand it over. "I'm serious. I'm the baby in this photo. I know my baby pictures. I've seen them all. The man paused. Something about the way the boy said it made his chest tighten. He didn't know why, but his heart started racing. "How can you prove that, kid?" he asked quietly. Louis thought for a moment. "I can show you the album at home." "Oh yeah?" the man asked. "Where is it?" "At home," Louis said simply. The man sighed, visibly disappointed. He had hoped the kid might actually have it with him. Louis started to turn away. "Never mind, I'll go help in the kitchen now." "Wait," the man called. He gently grabbed Louis's arm. "Do you come here a lot?" "Yes, my mum works here. I help out after school." "Every day?" "Yeah." "What time do you get here?" "Around 4 o'clock. The man nodded slowly. "All right, I'll come back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Can you bring that photo album with you?" "Okay," Louis said innocently. "I'll bring it." He had no idea what this might mean, but the man, his expression suddenly unreadable, nodded once and turned away. Louis returned to the kitchen to help out, still clueless as to what had just happened. What he didn't know was that the man who had just left the diner may very well have been his real father. That evening, after the diner had closed, Louis went home carrying leftover food given to him by the owner. As he stepped into the house, he saw his mom in the living room, caring for the baby while his Aunt Amy was preparing dinner in the kitchen. "Good evening, Mom. Hi, Aunt Amy," Louis greeted cheerfully. "The owner gave me some leftover food for us." "Good evening, sweetheart. Go ahead and put it in the kitchen, then come back here so I can help you change," Allison replied with a warm smile. Louis nodded and hurried to the kitchen. Despite his age, Allison still helped him change most days. She treated him with great care, as if he were her own biological child. She got up and retrieved clean clothes from the bedroom. When she came back out, Louis was waiting in the living room next to the baby's crib. "Come on, time to change," she said, and Louis quickly slipped into his fresh clothes with her help. A while later, after dinner and bedtime routines, Amy went to her room for the night, and Allison was just settling into bed when Louis suddenly spoke up from across the room. "Mum, I saw that man again today," he said. "What man?" Allison asked, trying to sound casual, though her heart immediately pounded faster. "The one who dropped the picture, the one I told you about at the hospital." Allison sat up slowly. "You did?" "Yeah, he came into the diner. I showed him the photo, and I told him it was me. I told him I was the baby in the picture." Panic surged through Allison. She jumped out of the couch. You actually told him that?" she asked, her voice tense. Louis nodded. "Why? What's wrong?" "But how did you even show him the photo?" "I have it with me," she said, confused. "There were two," Louis replied, scratching his head with a small smile. "I kept one." Allison pressed her hand to her forehead, overwhelmed. "And what did he say?" she asked, bracing herself. "At first he didn't believe me. He thought I was joking, but later I think he sort of believed it. He said he'd come back tomorrow to see the photo album." "You're meeting him again?" Allison asked, trying not to let her voice rise. "Yeah, he wants to see proof. Can I show it to him, Mum? Please?" Allison shook her head firmly. "That's not going to happen." "But why not?" Louis asked, surprised. "I said no," Allison replied. "You won't be going to the diner tomorrow. I'll need your help watching your sister at home while I make something to sell." Louis looked disappointed but didn't argue. "Okay, I guess I'll just come straight home after school then." Relieved, Allison smiled faintly. "Good. Thank you, sweetheart." As Louis drifted off to sleep beside his baby sister, Allison remained wide awake, her thoughts spinning. Her worst fear was slowly becoming reality. What if that man really is his father? She looked at her children. "They can't take him away from me," she thought. "I raised him. I found him. He's my son. She whispered to herself, "They're not taking you, Louis. Not now, not ever." But no matter how many times she told herself that, sleep didn't come easily that night. The next morning, Allison woke with a pounding headache. She hadn't slept at all. She was the kind of woman who kept a strict and healthy sleep routine, but not last night, not with everything weighing on her mind. "Aunt, Louis and I are heading out now," Amy called from the front door. She was ready for her classes at the university. "Take care," Allison replied from the kitchen, calling back as she saw them off. "Louis, don't forget. Come straight home after class, okay? Skip the diner today." "I will, Mom. Bye," Louis shouted as he waved goodbye. Once they were gone, Allison pulled the photo from her blouse pocket, the one Louis had hidden and secretly returned. She stared at it long and hard. Her chest tightened. Time passed quickly, and by the afternoon, Louis and Amy were back from school. Allison felt a bit more at ease now that her son hadn't seen the man again. Still, she had made up her mind. She would quit the diner, and Louis wouldn't go back either. It was too risky now. They couldn't have that man showing up again. Allison began considering other jobs she could take once she recovered enough from giving birth. "Mom, want help peeling those?" Louis asked, stepping into the kitchen. "Why are you here?" Allison said, startled. "Didn't I tell you to watch your sister?" "She's asleep," he said. "I was bored in the room, so I thought I'd help." "Oh, all right," she said with a sigh. "Be careful with the knife." They needed to keep up appearances, so Allison actually started preparing the fried plantains she'd said she would sell. Thankfully, they still had a supply at home. "Here, slice them thin," she instructed. "Of course, you can count on me," Louis replied proudly. Amy had gone to the market for groceries, so it was just the two of them at home for now. As Allison continued frying, a knock came at the door. "Stay here, I'll get it," she told Louis. "No, Mom, you keep cooking, I'll open it," Louis offered. "You don't want the food to burn." Allison hesitated. "Just don't touch anything. Fine, go ahead." Louis ran to the door. Allison shook her head, smiling faintly at his eagerness. She turned back to the pan. The smell was rich and sweet. She carefully transferred the golden slices to a plate, savoring the aroma. Just as she was about to take a small taste, Louis's sudden scream made her nearly jump out of her skin. "Mom!" "What? What happened? Louis!" she shouted, dropping the tongs and racing toward the front door. "Good afternoon, miss," a man's voice said beside her. When she reached the doorway, Allison's jaw dropped. Her eyes went wide in shock. It was him, standing right there, outside her home. "You? What are you doing at my house?" she demanded. "Are you really not going to invite me in?" he said with a grin, clearly enjoying her reaction. Louis stood between them, looking back and forth with confusion. Harry stepped inside uninvited and plopped down on the couch like he belonged there. "What do you think you're doing?" Allison snapped. "You're trespassing." "I had to come," he said, looking around. "We have something serious to talk about, regarding that kid." He pointed to Louis, who was now sitting quietly nearby. Allison crossed her arms. "Talk to me about what?" Harry smirked. "Are you sure he's really your kid?" That hit her like a slap. She scowled. "Yes, he is." Harry's eyes flicked toward Louis. The boy shifted uncomfortably. "Louis, honey, can you go to your room for a bit? Watch your sister, okay?" she said quickly. "But Mom, he's the man I told you about, the one from the diner," Louis said. "He's here to see the photo album." Allison's heart sank. This was spiraling out of control. "I'll get the album later," she said. "Just go to your room for now, please." Louis hesitated, then nodded. "Okay." Once he was out of sight, Allison turned to Harry. "All right, say what you came to say, then get out." Harry was quiet for a moment, then he pulled out the same photo Louis had picked up days earlier. "Recognize this?" he asked. Allison didn't answer. "What name did you say the kid's was?" Harry pressed. "Louis," she replied reluctantly. Harry nodded slowly. "Right. And if Louis hadn't mentioned this picture, I wouldn't have come. But he did. So here I am." Allison narrowed her eyes. "What's your point?" "Louis said he's the baby in the photo," Harry said. "Is it true?" She didn't respond. Harry looked her in the eyes. "Come on, kids don't lie. You know that." Allison clenched her jaw. "Look," Harry continued, "let's not play games. I know he's adopted. I know he's not your biological son." That silenced her, completely. "I respect you for raising him, I really do. But if he's my son, I want a DNA test. I deserve to know." The weight of his words hit her like a ton of bricks. Allison sat down slowly, hands trembling. She knew deep down that there was a high chance Harry was telling the truth. And if he was, she might lose Louis. That day ended with a heavy silence. Allison eventually agreed. Harry could have the DNA test done. Since that conversation, Allison hadn't slept properly. She feared that any day now, someone might come take Louis away from her. No matter what the result says, she told herself, I'm not letting him go without a fight. She shared everything with Amy. As expected, Amy was shocked. "This isn't good," Amy said, pacing the room. "What if he really is Louis's father? What if he tries to take him?" Allison stared blankly at the wall. "We don't have the results yet." "Don't get your hopes up," Amy said gently. "You and I both know Louis is the baby in that picture. It's obvious. That's going to be his father." "I know," Allison whispered. I still want to believe I'll get to keep him." Amy walked over and sat beside her sister. She took Allison's hand. "Whatever happens, I'm here for you." Time passed quickly. Soon, the results came. Allison stood frozen, holding the envelope in her hands, staring at it for what felt like forever. Amy stood beside her, gently squeezing her shoulder for support. Across from them sat Harry. He didn't speak. He was just watching, waiting. Finally, Allison opened the envelope with shaking hands. Positive. Louis was Harry's biological son. The room went quiet. Allison was in shock. Amy moved to her side, holding her steady as she sat down. Harry stood up. "I'll be taking my son," he said calmly. "I'll explain everything to him." "You'll do no such thing," Allison said, standing again. "You'll go through me first." Harry looked at her. "He's my child." "And I'm his legal mother. You're not taking him just like that. You'd have to go to court. You want a lawsuit on your hands, Captain." Harry stared at her, surprised at her tone. "I won't back down," Allison added. "I raised him. I loved him before you even knew he existed." "Then let's not do this like enemies," Harry said. "We can co-parent. We're both single. Why not raise him together?" Amy blinked. "Wait, what are you saying?" "Why can't we both be his parents?" Harry said. "No fighting, just share the responsibility." Allison was stunned. "What is that supposed to mean? You want to marry me or something?" she said, her voice rising. "You're jumping ahead," he replied with a grin. "Let's take it slow. I'm just saying. We were married for a few hours, remember? At the mall, at the hospital. Might as well make it official one day." He winked. Allison's face flushed. Amy covered her mouth to hide a smile. Harry leaned forward. "So, can I stay here until Louis knows who I am?" Allison's mouth dropped open. "You are not living here." Just then, Louis walked out of his room, rubbing his eyes. "What's going on?" he asked. "Why are you all yelling?" Allison turned quickly. "Nothing, sweetheart." Harry bent down to Louis's level. "Hey, buddy, do you mind showing me the guest room? I'll be staying here for a while." Louis's eyes lit up. "Really? You're living with us now? Yep. Allison couldn't believe what was happening. Sure, I'll show you, Louis said, grabbing Harry's hand and pulling him down the hallway. Harry turned and grinned at Allison. She stood frozen, speechless, watching them go. Later that night, after the house had quieted down and the kids were asleep, Allison sat in the living room, glaring at Harry, who was lounging on the couch like he owned the place. You think this is funny, don't you? She said coldly. I think it's convenient, Harry replied smoothly. You won't give me full custody, so I figured this was the next best thing. You're insane. No, I'm dedicated. Get out. Nope, I'm staying. You made your choice when you said I couldn't take him with me. Allison threw her hands in the air. You're not even trying to be reasonable. Harry leaned forward. Fine. If you won't let me take my son, then I'll live here. I'll be in his life every single day until he knows who I am. Allison was fuming. You can't make me choose between letting you take him or letting you live here, she hissed. Sure I can, and honestly, I think I'm the better option. At least I come with muscles and a winning smile, Harry said, flexing with a grin. Allison groaned in frustration. I can't believe I'm stuck with a military man-child under my roof. Get used to it, Harry said, because I'm not going anywhere. The days, weeks, and months passed. Louis still didn't know that Harry was his biological father. Harry hadn't told him yet. He wanted to take things slowly, to ease into it. He didn't want to shock the boy or push him away. Meanwhile, something unexpected began happening. Harry found himself falling for Allison. He couldn't help it. She wasn't just beautiful. She was strong, nurturing, and fiercely protective of her family. She even started taking care of Harry, cooking for him, checking in on him. One afternoon, while it rained heavily outside, the power suddenly went out. Amy and Louis were both still at school, so only Harry, Allison, and baby Sophia were at home. From outside the bedroom, Harry's voice called out, Allison, it's pitch black in here. Obviously, that's what happens in a blackout, she called back. Let me in. I don't want to stay in the hallway. It's dark and I hate the dark. Then go back to your room, she said from inside. I left it because it was dark. Then stay in the hallway and enjoy the sound of rain, she replied. Come on, Allison, have some pity. I'm freezing out here. I don't like this. You're not even wet. Just let me in, please. I don't like the dark. Allison frowned. A grown man, afraid of the dark, but she didn't say anything back. Then there was a loud thump on her door. Alarmed, she got up quickly and opened it. What was that? Without warning, Harry stepped forward and wrapped her in a tight embrace. What are you doing? She gasped. He didn't answer. His body was trembling slightly. Harry, are you seriously shaking? Just let me hold you, just for a second, he said quietly. His words caught her off guard. She was suddenly aware of his scent, clean, warm, familiar. Are you really scared of the dark? She asked. Yes, he answered. She gently rubbed his back. Okay, just for now. There was a silence. Then she mumbled, What shampoo do you use? Your hair smells really good. He pulled back just enough to look at her. What lip gloss do you use? What? Your lips look really soft, like they'd be nice to kiss. Her face turned red. You're unbelievable. Then, before she could pull away, Harry cupped her cheeks, leaned in, and kissed her, softly, but without hesitation. The moment their lips met, Allison froze. When she pulled away seconds later, he walked out of her room without a word. She stood there stunned, heart racing. A cry came from the crib. Sophia had stirred from the noise. Allison leaned over and soothed the baby. It's nothing, sweetheart. Go back to sleep. Allison lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling, her heart still racing. That kiss from Harry wouldn't leave her mind. She rolled onto her side, buried her face in the pillow, then sat up again, groaning. Is he attracted to me? Does he like me? Or was that just because… I don't even know? She muttered aloud, frustrated. She paced the room, arms crossed, thoughts spiraling. Okay, he kissed me. But does it mean anything? Was it just because of the moment? Is it my lips? Ugh, I'm going crazy. She sat back down, then flopped back onto the bed again, pulling the blanket over her head. Why is this affecting me so much? She whispered. The next morning was Sunday. Louis and Amy had no school. Harry had to report for duty, even on weekends. Amy, watch Sophia for a bit. I'll go to the grocery store, Allison said. No problem, Amy replied. Mum, can I come too? Louis asked sweetly. Allison tried to resist, but gave in to his pleading eyes. Fine, go get dressed quickly. Louis dashed off to change, then came back in record time. I'm ready! Just as they stepped outside, a sleek car pulled up. Harry rolled down the window. Where are you two headed? The store, Allison answered flatly. I'll drive. No need, she replied quickly. We'll manage. I'm driving you. Get in. Allison refused. I said we're fine. Harry smirked. Get in or I'll kiss you in front of your son. Allison's face turned red. Wait, what kiss? Louis asked, confused. Nothing, Allison stammered. Get in the car, Harry repeated. Now. With a sigh of defeat, Allison climbed in. Louis hopped in back seat, excited. Where are we going, sweetheart? Harry asked her. Don't call me that, she muttered. What then? Love? Babe? Stop it. Harry chuckled. You're blushing. I am not. You're totally blushing, Louis giggled. You guys are silly. See? Harry said. Even our son agrees. Stop calling him that, Allison snapped. He is our son, whether you like it or not. Just drive, she said, turning away to hide her smile. The car ride was filled with playful tension. Harry kept throwing glances at Allison, who pretended not to notice, though her cheeks stayed pink the entire time. When they arrived at the store, Harry parked and turned to Louis. Louis, he said gently. Yes? I have something important to tell you. Allison turned sharply. Harry? But Harry kept his gaze on Louis. I want to tell you the truth. I'm your real dad. Louis stared at him, blinking. What do you mean? Allison looked down, her lips pressed tight. Harry sighed. I'm your biological father. Louis looked between them both. You're not joking? Harry shook his head slowly. I wouldn't joke about something like that. Louis didn't speak for a moment. Then quietly, he said, I already knew. What? Harry asked, stunned. I knew, Louis repeated. Mum told me not to say anything yet, but I've known for a while. Harry sat back, speechless. And, are you okay with that? Louis smiled gently. Of course. You're my dad. You've always been nice to me. Allison let out a shaky breath, her chest tight with emotion. Why didn't you say anything before? Harry asked. Because I was waiting for you to tell me, Louis said. I thought maybe you were nervous. Harry let out a soft laugh, overwhelmed. He reached forward and pulled Louis into a hug. Thank you, son. You don't know how much that means to me. He glanced at Allison and gently reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. After the heartfelt conversation, they drove to a quiet park. As the car stopped, Allison looked around. This place, she whispered. This is where I found Louis. Louis looked up. Really? Harry stepped out of the car, his expression solemn. This is where my ex left him. They all stood quietly for a moment, taking in the surroundings. Trees, benches, children playing, flowers blooming. It was peaceful, But for Allison and Harry, it carried weight. Harry turned to Louis. "Son, I want to tell you something. I don't know how to say it perfectly, but you need to hear it." "I'm listening," Louis said. Harry took a breath. "I'm your biological father. You already knew that, but I didn't know what happened to you until it was too late. Your birth mother, she couldn't accept having you. She left you here, in this park. It took her a week to tell me." Louis remained quiet. "I looked for you, but you were already gone," Harry continued. "I didn't know who had taken you in." Allison placed a hand on Louis's shoulder. "But you were safe. I found you, and I raised you as my own." Harry added, "And now that I know it was you, I feel like the luckiest man in the world." Louis looked up at them both. "You're my mum and dad. That's all that matters to me." Harry's eyes welled up. He pulled Louis into a hug. Allison stood beside them, moved and silent. After a moment, Louis looked at Harry and asked, "So, who's my real mum?" Harry paused. "It was someone I dated. We weren't married. She couldn't have children the usual way, so she begged me to go through a process. I didn't even know who the surrogate was. I never met her." Allison crossed her arms. "Seriously? You didn't even want to know who the mother of your child was?" "I thought it would be easier that way," Harry said quietly. "But I never expected her to abandon him." Louis turned to Allison. "You're the only mum I've ever known. You always will be." Harry looked at her too. No one could have raised him better. Allison swallowed hard, holding back her emotions. "You're both mine," she whispered. Harry stepped closer. "Then let me be yours too." "Let me be yours too," Harry said again, more softly this time. Allison turned away, flustered. "You don't have to say things like that." "I'm not saying it because I have to," he said. "I'm saying it because I mean it." Louis looked between the two of them, his expression hopeful. Back at home, time passed quickly. Harry stayed close. He didn't just bond with Louis. He helped Allison with baby Sophia, fixed things around the house, and made sure they had what they needed. He made himself part of the family. One night after dinner, Allison sat on the couch while Louis played nearby. Harry leaned against the wall, watching them. Suddenly, Louis looked up and asked, "So, does that mean Mom and Dad are going to be together now?" Allison blinked. "What?" Harry smiled. "That depends. Would you be okay with that?" Louis grinned. "You already live here. Might as well just marry her." Allison rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Harry turned to her. "What do you say?" She sighed. "I say, let's take it one day at a time." Harry leaned back, satisfied. "I can live with that." Days went by, and the bond among them only deepened. Harry didn't push Allison for answers about baby Sophia. But one evening, as they sat on the porch after dinner, he finally asked, "Allison, is Kendrick Sophia's biological father?" Allison's expression changed instantly. "No. Then, who is?" She inhaled slowly, her eyes falling to the floor. "The truth is, I'm a victim." Harry froze. "What do you mean?" Her voice cracked. "I was assaulted. That's how I got pregnant." He stood up, stunned. That can't be true." "It is," she said quietly. "The man who did it is in prison now." Harry sat back down, completely shaken. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I didn't know if you'd still want me," she whispered. He reached out, holding her hand tightly. "I'm not going anywhere." Tears ran down her face. "I didn't ask for any of this, but I kept her. I love her." "I know," he said. "And I love you. All of you. No matter what." Allison couldn't hold back the sob that broke from her chest. Harry pulled her into his arms and held her close. "You're not broken," he whispered. "You're the strongest woman I've ever known." She cried silently into his shoulder. I'm going to take care of you," he continued, "of both your children, of our son, of you. I love you, Harry. I love you too." After that night, everything between Allison and Harry changed. They were no longer pretending, no longer dodging feelings or hiding behind circumstances. Their bond had grown into something real, something permanent. 6 months later, they stood hand in hand in a garden filled with flowers, sunlight streaming through the trees. Today was their wedding day. They had planned it together from start to finish. Simple, beautiful, and personal. Every detail was theirs. The vows, the flowers, the setting, everything reflected who they had become as a couple and as a family. As they stood before the officiant, Harry looked into Allison's eyes. "I promise I'll give you the love, protection, and care you've always deserved," he said. "I may not have been there from the beginning, but I'll be there for everything else." Allison smiled through tears. "And I promise to love you, to grow with you, and to let you in. You were never just a soldier who helped me that day. You became the one who helped me heal." Surrounded by Amy, Louis, Sophia, and the few people who mattered most, they exchanged rings, said their vows, and sealed them with a kiss. It was the beginning of their forever. The end. Thank you all for watching. This is Mr. Hope, and I love you all.